If you are interested in past life tarot readings, then this might be the video for you. Hi everyone, my name is Lady Knight of Avalon. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you've been here before. And today I want to show you the decks that I use for past life readings. I've got some tarot decks, some oracle decks, so let's just get right into it. My number one go-to deck for past life readings is the Art History Tarot for Past Lives. This one was put out by Red Orchid Publishing. Now I have the first edition of this deck, and this is a regular 78 card deck. And we do have the classic card numbers, so to speak. So here, for example, we have the Seven of Swords. We've got the Knight of Swords, the Eight of Swords, the Queen of Wands. So these are written on here. I saw that there's a second edition out now, and this is an expanded version. So it has 19 more cards. But most of the artwork has been switched to different images. And there are some changes in terms of how these keywords are made. So now what is written very small here with the description of what card this is, that's now up here as well. And it has like a colorful background. And on the new edition, the names of the paintings that are written on all of the cards here, so that you actually know where this comes from, that is not in the second edition. So for that, you would probably have to get the guidebook. And as I'm filming this video right now, I saw that the second edition is on sale. I don't know if it will still be on sale by the time you're watching this, if you're watching this later. But right now I saw it's on sale, but just the deck, not with the guidebook. But I will put the link to the shop in the description box so you can check for yourself. And when I work with this deck, I always work with the workbook that comes with it. Well, that you can buy extra, I should say. And you can get the workbook, I think, on Amazon as well. If I can find a link, I will put it in the description box as well. So we've got all these cards here, and the workbook is basically 21 days back to back. Well, I did it back to back. You don't have to do it every day, but 21 days of spreads where you can really dive deep into the past life that you're reading on. And she's guiding you through every step of the way in that workbook. And there are different chapters, and in each chapter, each card gets a slightly different, not meaning, but like a new version of reading the card in a way that is specifically tailored to the chapter that you're reading on in that moment, if that makes sense. And so, yeah, I would always use this deck in combination with the guidebook, because that just... yeah, that's been the best past life reading experience I've had with the guidebook. Now, this deck, of course, it also makes sense if you want to read intuitively just by itself. Let me just put it back in the box really quick. And this deck, I usually read in combination with the Stretch Tarot. And what I do with that is I will take the spreads from the workbook, for example, and I will use the same spread with both decks. One is then the outside perspective that everyone sees from this life, and one is the inside perspective. What was that incarnation really feeling, thinking in that moment? So that's how I do the combination of these two decks. And by the way, if you want to know more about like how I read and what kind of spreads I use, I can show you that. Just let me know in the comments below if that is of interest to you. So like I said, the Stretch Tarot is also one of my go-to decks for past life readings. And I've had this one, I think also since 2019 or something. It came out in 2016. And there's currently a Kickstarter campaign going on where the deck is being remade, so to speak. So there's a new edition, and there's even bigger cards now. So that's that. So, and this deck has keywords on it, and I love keywords, and especially in this like reading for the past lives, I love these keywords because they also give me additional clues. And what I love about this deck is that the images already take me back in time. And when it comes to the past life readings, I'm also a very visual reader. I don't just go with the regular meaning of the cards. I also look at the picture, like what can I see? What extra clues am I given? For example, here, a family relationship between mother and daughter in that situation. Or here we see something like a hospital, like coming home from a war maybe, or being wounded in a war. So there's all these kinds of things, or even here with these bottles and the whole thing. There's so much to work with. And yeah, these two decks, they just go together so well, which is why I use them in combination. But I also use the Stretch Tarot in combination with other decks. For example, something that I also do is look into multiple incarnations at the same time. And so I would combine this with the regular Los Scarabeo Tarot as well as the Röhrig Tarot. Now this is the smaller Spanish version that I have here. And I have trimmed the edges on this one. And this is also a very visual deck that I'm reading with. And yeah, I think that just goes very well with the Stretch Tarot and the Art History deck as well. And also with the regular Los Scarabeo deck. And yeah, so these images, they give me something that I can just really like dive into and just let the images in my head tell me the story, basically. Oops, why are you turned around? Yeah. So this is also one that I use for finding patterns, for example. Like when I look into multiple incarnations at the same time, what I do then is trying to find patterns to see if something like karma has already been solved, or if this is something that's still coming up in the current lifetime that needs some work in order to release it. Now, another deck that I bought probably around 2019 or 2020 is John Richardson's Past Life Revealed. Not a big fan of all this layout stuff here with all the stuff. Oh yeah, it's copyright 2019. And the design is by James Howells. And if I can find the website for this, I will put it down below as well. So this is the deck, and yeah, this is what it originally was. And I trimmed it down quite a bit because I didn't like the original borders that it came with. And this one has some keywords that the other decks don't necessarily have. Like here we have sins and forgiveness, hunter and gatherer, we have a witch, we have karma. There is also, we have the Grim Reaper in here, Fortuna, Father Time, the Celt, so there's another location card. Not a big fan of all of the images in here and how they have been photoshopped. We even have Apocalypse in here. We've got a Viking, we've got pagans and druids. Even going back to the Ark, there was one in here. Where was it? Psychic Soul Path Atlantis. So we even have Atlantis in this one. So there's also quite a bit to work with. And I think, how many cards does this have? Oh, also 78 cards, but they're just numbered, like they don't have the regular tarot names. So it's more like an oracle in that sense. And yeah. So this I use as additional cards, so I could use these, for example, as a jumping off point to just draw one card and see, okay, what's the topic that I'm reading on? And then doing a whole spread based on that card to find out, okay, what was really going on. For example, what were the sins and what did this incarnation have to ask for forgiveness for? Like, what's the whole karma around that? And has it been resolved? That's one way of doing it, for example. So this is the John Richardson Past Lives Revealed. Another deck that already takes me back to old times is the Atlantis Tarot. This one, I have to say, unfortunately, is very much out of print. I don't even remember when it was from. I think maybe around, was it after 2007? I'm not quite sure. 2007, 2012, something like that. And this is a Lo Scarabeo deck. And with this one, I don't really use the traditional card meanings very much as well. I go with the images here that are very, very descriptive, and they really match like old times with war and, you know, exploring the world and all this kind of stuff. Like, I can see a lot of that in here. And also why I don't read with the regular meanings. For example, here you can see in the Eight of Cups, normally this is the walking away, grass is greener card. But here we actually have a party kind of situation. So I would not read this in the Eight of Cups version. Like, I would really go with the image here and look at, okay, how are these people working together? Like, okay, how is he looking? Where are they looking? Where's the attention going? Are they laughing? Is someone, you know, having a bit of a weird face where they might be planning something? So this is the kind of stuff that I look at, or even here in the background in the images, there's also clues that can be found. So that's how I work with this deck. And yeah, there's a lot of really great imagery in here that doesn't just pertain to war times. But yeah, here, for example, very explicit, like someone was watching. So I can see some jealousy in here that might have led to something, you know, like there's a lot of good stuff here to work with. So that is the Atlantis Tarot. And the Atlantis Tarot is also a deck that I would use, or I found it very useful for mapping out relationships between certain people or motives, like what someone's motive is and is that person trustworthy. In that sense, this deck is also very talkative, I found. Now, an oracle deck that I use for past life readings, and here I have the French version because she who shall not be named at some point said that all her decks are supposed to be out of the stores. And so by the time I wanted to get this, the English version was not available anymore, but Amazon was still selling the French and Spanish version. So I got the French version because with, I mean, Google Translate and stuff, it's not that difficult to translate. And they only have like one word kind of things on here. So it's not that difficult to figure out what it means. And I have used these in terms of like pulling one extra card for reading. For example, in the workbook for the Past Life Art History deck, when you start the first reading, you only pull 2 cards to find out who you were. And then I would pull 1 card from this deck, for example, as an additional piece of information. And that's how I would get started, for example. Like, I don't use this for every single reading. I use it a lot in the beginning to really map out, okay, who was that incarnation? Maybe where were we? Or what was like the core topic of that incarnation's life, for example. Like, were they like hungry? Did they have something to do with the law? Or were they a nun or a monk, for example? These things are giving me a good starting off point. So in that sense, I can use this deck, but since it only has 44 cards, it is pretty limited. So as a standalone deck to do an entire past life reading, for me, that doesn't work. So yeah, it doesn't give me too much in terms of that. Now, in terms of oracle decks, one that I also use is called the Psy cards. And I've had these also for quite some time. And this is a cute little deck that, I mean, this one here comes with a little pamphlet, but I do have a full guidebook for this. And I also use this as additional information. Like, we've got something here like the warrior, the puzzle. Yeah, that one's sideways. Mother, birth, fortune, father, peace. We have a yes and a no card. Sun, scales, the stranger, the fool. So some have similar terms compared to tarot. But then we also have something like the liar. We do have a tower here. We've got skills, friendship, and there's also a lot in these cards that can be read. Like, for example, here there's a hand placement, then there's the bird, so that one could be spying, because parrots, they can repeat stuff back. And also like the foot position, things like that. There's another person in hiding that's bringing another drink. So there's a lot to work with in these cards. We've got the sage, Neva, the wheel. Yeah, so these cards, I find them also very interesting in terms of extra information. On Make Playing Cards, I bought these two decks. Like the Victorian Oracle, I bought mostly because the Victorian Tarot that's available on Etsy was a bit out of my price range at the time. So I wrote the names on here. This is the Victorian Oracle by Lucretia and Kirk. And if I can find the deck again, I will put the link down in the description. And then I also have the Monochrome Oracle by the same creator, Lucretia and Kirk. Let's start with the big one first. Both of these have like between 102 and 108 cards, something like that. So this one is like, there's a lot, and it's black and white. Unfortunately, there's quite a few cards that are sideways in this, but yeah, for past life readings, I love them. And sometimes I would even use some of these cards, and I would pick them out based on the keywords to put down a spread, like making a spread with these cards and then putting other cards on top. So here we got another sideways card. Here too, ruin, imposter, wonderment, slumber, compensation, exchange, prayer, inquiry, maiden, journey, challenge, instruction, advice, illumination, confusion. So there's some really good stuff to work with for additional information, and this is something that I would probably use more for an internal reading, to find out what the person was going through, what they felt, what they experienced in that incarnation. Now the Victorian Oracle, this one is a lot smaller, better to handle, but also pretty thick. And it's in color, unlike the other ones. So here we have man. There's also a woman card. We have the 4 seasons here: winter, autumn, summer, spring. Yeah, there's the woman card. We have boy. There's a girl somewhere too. Mother, father, girl, merchant, urban. Yeah, here the sideways cards still have the keywords here. This one, work, Sorry if I'm getting out of frame. Home, duality, rehearsal, sorrow, servitude, loss. What is that? Hilarity, conference, unrequited love, stranger, excursion, favoritism. So there's a lot, like rejection, protection, animosity. So yeah, and also these pictures, they give some really good images to get additional information, which is why I just love reading with that. And with like over 100 cards, there's a lot of options here, a lot to draw from. Or once again, to also pick out some cards and, you know, like put them down and make a spread with it, and that put other cards on top, for example. So this is the Victorian Oracle. And one deck that I also got like this, I think I got towards the end of 2024, and I found this one on Amazon, the True Crime Oracle cards, because in some cases, especially in the olden days, the life might not have ended in a natural way. But even regardless of that, by the way, this is from Empath Soul. They have quite a few decks on Amazon, different topics. So yeah, if I can find the link, I'll put it below. So they have keywords here that I also find really good for like additional information, or like, yeah, you have events that happened, you have people in here, places, like we have couple, caregiver, celebrity, lies, life insurance, meeting spouse or partner, neighborhood, natural disasters, even debt, social media. So these are more like modern, but even aliens are in here because, you know, not every incarnation might have been on this planet. So yeah, even man-made disasters, which in the olden times wouldn't have been a plane, but I mean, we can make it fit for wherever we're reading from, like whatever timeline. And so I find this one also very interesting and very helpful. But yeah, for past life readings, I also find it really helpful. So it's not just about crime. It can also be used for just anything else. And I mean, there will always be times in each lifetime where, you know, people betray other people. And, you know, so I'll just put all of the decks in here again. So these are the decks that I'm working with for my past life readings. And like I said, if you want to know how I do the readings, let me know. I can make a video about those spreads as well. Or if you are interested in getting a past life reading, the link to my Ko-fi shop is below if you want to receive a reading. I do that too. So yeah, these are all my decks. Thanks for joining me today. Take care, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.